Hey, this is Molly Patrick, and you're listening to the Clean Food Dirty Girl podcast. We are all about helping people eat more plants and celebrating imperfection as we navigate life's messiness. So today I am talking all about road trips and how to eat a plant-based diet while on a road trip. And so I've done a lot of posts and podcasts about traveling while eating a whole food plant-based diet, but I've never done one specifically to road tripping. And that's because, well, I don't go on a ton of road trips because I live on an island. And when I go traveling, I mainly travel outside of the country, but I took a trip to the mainland over the summer. And a big portion of the trip, the majority of the trip, was a road trip. And in Drop It Club, so this is our plant-powered weight loss club. Hey there. Okay, so real quick, before we dive back in, I have something to share with you. If you've been struggling to release weight, even when you're eating a whole food plant-based diet, I have something that can help. So I created a free masterclass that breaks down the 3 biggest reasons why weight loss can feel so damn hard, even when you're doing everything quote unquote right. You'll discover why our bodies are literally designed to hold on to fat, not release it, why we have such a hard time resisting certain foods, and why it has nothing to do with willpower. You'll also learn why we turn to foods when we feel stressed and bored and tired and sad and angry and overwhelmed. And most importantly, what you can do about it starting today in a way that feels good. Head over to cleanfooddirtygirl.com/drop it masterclass, all one word, and get it free today, or get the link in the show notes. Okay, now back to this awesome episode. We had a lot of people going on road trips this summer, and a lot of people had questions as far as like, well, how do I eat this way when I travel? And actually going on road trips, it's much easier to follow this way of eating than when you travel like by plane or by bus or by train, because you have a lot more storage. And really it comes down to the fact that you have the ability to have a cooler in your car, and that cooler makes all the difference. So that's what I'm going to be talking about today. I'm going to be talking about places, things to look for when finding places to stay, equipment that is helpful to pack with you, and then like food ideas. So I did a blog post about this, and I added a bunch of pictures and a list with the equipment and with like a big grocery list that you can like just copy from me if you want. So we're going to link to that blog post in the show notes of this episode so you can check that out if you like. So the first thing is what I did. It was the first part of my trip was going into Oregon. We started in Portland. We rented a car and we did a big trip all around Oregon. And then after that, I went to Las Vegas, and then we did a road trip from Vegas to southern Utah to northern Arizona and back to Las Vegas. And so that was about 21 days in total. And so for those 21 days, I was really eating out of a car and eating on the parking lot lunches and motel dinners, basically. And, at least here in the US, there is not a lot of options when you are traveling and when you're on highways for plant-based eating. There might be a few vegan options accidentally, right? Some accidental vegan options here and there, but they're not going to be super healthy. That's just going to be like French fries and maybe a very tired salad with some vinaigrette or something. But it's hard to find, especially in the more rural parts of the country. Like going around Portland, yeah, there's a ton of vegan food in Portland, but once you leave Portland, the options get really limited. And so I knew that, I'm not like, I do give myself some wiggle room when I go on trips. And that's something that's really important to me, meaning I will eat vegan, but I will allow some oil and some processed foods here and there vegan processed foods here and there. So I'm not strict whole food plant-based when I travel, because the whole point of traveling is experiencing something new and getting out of your current routine. And so if I were to continue to try to batch cook and eat exactly how I normally eat, like I've always thought, I may as well just stay home. Like this is something that is not my normal routine. And it's always important to keep in mind that what matters most is what you're doing the majority of time, right? The majority of the year. That's what matters most. So if 3 or 4 weeks out of the year, you're doing the best you can, but you're not, you're not super, super strict. In my book, that allows you a lot of freedom. It allows you to enjoy your trip and to have your trip be about the overall experience and not just about the food. Have it be about the company, the friends, the hiking, the sights, everything that you take in on your trip. And that's what really fills us. That's what fills our soul. So trying to find that balance of, eating healthy so you're not going to sabotage yourself, and also enjoying yourself and finding that balance of like, well, how, what can you do that's the best choices you can make with your situation, and deciding what that looks like. I talk a lot about this in Drop It Club, the weight loss club, is whatever situation you're in, do the best that you can. If it's outside of your normal routine, whether that's a trip for work or a vacation or any type of situation where you're out of your routine, this would even consist of like when something really sad happens, or when somebody gets sick, or when there's a death in the family, and you're not in your normal day-to-day, right? The best advice I can give is to make the best choice that you can that's going to also support you and you find works for you and that you find satisfying. So there was somebody who was traveling to a conference who I coached, and she was the conference was going to provide food, and the food was not vegan friendly. And the thing is, like, her option was basically like some steamed broccoli and that was it. And she knew that if she ate that steamed broccoli, then she was going to be ravenous later and probably like make food choices that weren't, like, totally went against her goals. And so I asked her, like, well, what is the menu like? Tell me the options on the menu. And she's like, well, there's a vegetarian dish that seems like it has a lot of vegetables, but it has a little bit of cheese. And I'm like, okay, so is that a deal breaker for you? Do you feel, comfortable with that? So for me, I wouldn't eat cheese just because I don't want to. I haven't had it in a long time. But for some people, they can occasionally have cheese, and for them that fits with what's acceptable for them in a situation that isn't like a normal routine. And she was like, yeah, I could, do that because it ultimately has like a lot of veggies. And it was going to satisfy her enough so that after that meal, like, she wasn't going to go to a fast food restaurant and order a bunch of food that was going to be way worse than whatever the vegetarian option was with a bunch of veggies. So it's always about like finding that balance. What can you do that's the best choice you can make that's realistic for you to continue eating healthy? And so this is sort of, and I kind of prefaced this episode with that little story because it applies to, definitely it applies to travel, and it applies to a road trip, right? There were some restaurants that I wanted to try in different cities we were in, and I did try some restaurants, and that was really fun and really good, and it was always vegan. Some of it was like super processed. Like, we went to this food truck in Eugene called Toasty. No, was it in Eugene? No, I think it was in Bend, Oregon. I think it was in Bend. And it was, called Toasty, a vegan food truck. And I got their like Supreme Crunch wrap, and it was so good. We actually went twice, and really good. Not something that I would eat on a normal basis, but really happy that I tried it, right? So, but the majority of what I ate, it was very simple meals that I put together in the car or in the motel. And so basically, when you are looking for accommodations, when you go on a road trip, there's three things that can be really, really helpful and really make a big difference as far as what you can make. And that is a small refrigerator, a microwave, and a way to heat up water, like an electric tea kettle is great. So if you can find a place, right? Like if you're looking at a couple of motels, it's worth it to call them and just say, hey, in the room, is there a small fridge? Is there a microwave? And is there a tea kettle? Or can I, sometimes you don't have a tea kettle in the room, but you can call down to the front desk and they can bring you one. And that also sometimes is the case with a microwave as well. But definitely check to see if your accommodations have any of those three things. Three of them is ideal. If you had to choose one, I would say it depends on your cooler situation, but a microwave and a fridge, I don't know, all three are really handy. But, you know, a way to heat up water, if you have a microwave, you could do it in the microwave. So, but those three things are always the things that I look for. And sometimes that's an option and sometimes not. There were definitely places where I stayed on my road trip that had those. And then there were times when there was like nothing. And okay, I figured it out with no refrigerator, no microwave, and no way to heat up water. So it was a lot of cold food. But that worked because I had a really kick-ass cooler in the car. So that brings me to my next point is a cooler is sort of your like foundation piece, your most important piece to all of this. And so I flew into Portland and I didn't bring a cooler with me, but I had a friend in Portland who had a friend who had a good cooler. And because we were going to leave from Portland, drive around, and then go back to Portland to fly out, we could pick it up and then drop it off at the end of our trip. So sometimes it just takes getting creative. Sometimes there's like Facebook groups you can join, or maybe there's friends of friends who know somebody with a cooler. Sometimes I think you can even rent a cooler, if I'm not mistaken. Some stores, like it might be worth calling even, like I know that REI used to rent different things. Like I used to buy, or not buy, but rent climbing equipment when I was into rock climbing. And so it might be worth asking around or just Googling, like, you know, places to rent a cooler in the city you're going, because you don't really want to buy one. You could buy those cheapy ones, but it's worth bringing a really good cooler with you because it's going to make a big difference. And if you buy something that just doesn't last and does not stay cold, then you're going to have food that goes bad and it's not even going to be worth it. And so the two coolers, I used two different types of brands of coolers on this trip. The first one was a Yeti cooler, which worked really well. It was, when you shut it, it kind of like had like a vacuum type of situation and it stayed really cold and it was good. The other one was called Canyon, was the brand, Canyon cooler, and both of those worked very well. The thing that I didn't have during my first portion of this road trip that I did have on the second portion was a blanket, like a cooler insulating blanket. So the blanket was like insulated and you put it over the cooler and that really made a difference. And so that is another thing that might even be worth buying one of those, because if you think about how much money you're going to save by eating your own food and making your own food while on a road trip, it's significant. Because eating out for every meal, it gets pricey and it's just not necessary. It's like, you know, you don't have to. Like if you have a good cooler and you have an insulated blanket, I didn't have that for the first part. I made it work and it was fine because the cooler was good. But the second time, I noticed that the ice blocks and the ice, it didn't melt as fast with that blanket. So that's another thing to pack. To pack, you could probably pack that in your luggage, or you can buy one when you get to wherever you are. And it's probably not going to be that much money. So there's some other things that you can bring along. You can bring some of the stuff with you, or you could buy some of the stuff, or you could borrow some of the stuff. And it was a combination of things for me. So here's some just basic helpful tools to have along with you before you start on your trip. So that would be a sharp knife, a cutting board, You can bring a small cutting board, a small thing of dish soap. So I like to buy the small little container of Dr. Bronner's all-purpose soap, really helpful. A sponge, like a dish sponge, was really helpful to have. A dish towel or a couple of dish towels. You're going to need those. They're going to come in handy. They're small to pack. A fork, spoon, and a knife. So I have a cool little set that's like bamboo, and it comes in a little case, and mine actually has a knife, a fork, a spoon, and chopsticks. And then it has this little carrying case. So I bring that thing with me everywhere. So that's really important. A cooler blanket, a can opener. Be sure to bring a can opener because you're going to be opening up cans of beans for sure. And you can sometimes find the cans that have the little pry open top, but not always. So always best to have a can opener. There's nothing more annoying than having a can of food and not being able to open it. Let's see, bowls. So you could do some kind of disposable bowls, or you could bring like my friend who I was on the second portion of my road trip with, she brought like some metal bowls. And so they were like camping bowls, kind of super helpful to have. Some plates as well, some paper towels, some Ziploc bags, a couple of containers with lids for like leftovers, and then a strainer. This one, I didn't have a strainer on any of my trip. I got by without it, but there were numerous occasions where I was like, a strainer would be really helpful right now. Some of the places I stayed at had a full kitchen, and that was really handy because I didn't have to bust out any of my kitchen equipment. And they had like a blender and a food processor and like an oven and all of the things you could want. And that was really handy. A lot of times like Airbnbs will have that, or home exchange, which I stayed in a lot of home exchanges on this trip. They had like a full kitchen. And with that, if you are just going to places that has a full kitchen, then you don't need to bring this stuff. But you never know. If you aren't going to be staying in places with full kitchens, then this is the equipment that'll really make a big difference. Now, keep in mind, you're going to be cooking and making very simple food. We are not going to overcomplicate this. Not the time to get fancy pants at all. We are not going to be doing any like batching any of our gourmet plans and like putting on all the finishing touches. We're talking like down and dirty. Like, and I'm going to tell you some meals that I put together, and you'll see it's just simple. Okay, so talked about the tools, talked about what to look at for a lodging type of situation. So I'm going to go now through some, how do I want to do this? So what I want to do is just go through some of the groceries that you can get at the grocery store that you can pack in your cooler and pack in your car. You want whenever you go, like if you're starting out from your house and going on a road trip, that's a little bit easier. If you're doing it like I did it, which was like flying somewhere else and then starting it, it's a little more tricky because really you're starting from scratch, right? So you don't have like, I don't have all my spices that I can just put some nutritional yeast in a little bag or put some spice mixes. Now, I could have done that stuff in advance and just packed it. And I did with a couple things. Like I packed some rolled oats, and I packed like my rolled oats mix that had the hemp seeds and the chia seeds and some pumpkin seeds along with the oats. I packed that just in my luggage, like a pretty decent size that would get me through, the first like week of breakfasts. But we have in the Recipe Club portal, or the Clean Food Dirty Girl portal, we do have a whole collection of spice blends. And that's a really fun thing to do and bring on your trip. Like we have a tofu scramble spice blend. We have like a chipotle spice blend. We have a few different, like a decent amount of ones that you could choose from that you can pre-make, put in little bags, and then just put in your luggage. It doesn't take up any space at all. So having those are great. Produce. So there's some produce items that just don't travel well and don't work in a car motel situation, and there's some that are more hearty and that work better. So here is the produce that I picked up. I didn't buy all of this stuff in one go, but this is the produce that I bought along the way. So avocados, cherry tomatoes, arugula, spinach, lettuce, carrots, cucumber, lime, red bell pepper, sweet yellow onion and red onion, and then bananas, kiwis, melon, chopped up and put in a Ziploc bag, plums, grapes, cherries, oranges, and grapefruit. So those are all, those are the things that I ate that all were very kind of mobile friendly, as long as you have a good cooler. The bulk stuff, rolled oats, dehydrated soups can be really handy, walnuts, the spice mixes, and a little bit of salt and pepper. And then for packaged food, non-dairy milk, corn tortillas. Can't say enough about like how awesome corn tortillas are to have on a road trip. A salad dressing, travel miso, baked tofu, dolmas in a can, hummus, canned beans, travel tamales, crackers, sauerkraut, microwavable or microwave rice that's pre-cooked rice and you just microwave it, microwave beans, rice cakes, peanut butter or almond butter, or you could do sunflower seed butter, and then roasted red peppers. So that list isn't, and again, if you wanted to get the whole list, go to the blog post that I did and you can, copy it down. It's not a ton of things. And so you don't want to overwhelm yourself with a ton of things, but you want enough so that you have a variety of things to choose from, because you don't want to eat the same things over and over again. They might be similar, but you don't want to get bored, like so bored that you're like, screw it, I'm just going to go to a restaurant because I don't want to eat the same meal every day and every time I eat. And you also want to keep up the nutrient diversity. And so still getting a wide range of nutrients, even when you are traveling, is totally doable. But you also don't have to buy like all the things that you would normally buy for, a week of meal plans, for example. So let's talk about some of the food specifically that I ate, some of the meals and kind of how I did that. So the first thing is just my breakfast was always the same, and it was overnight oats. And that's very simple. That works whether or not you have a fridge. In the moments that I didn't have a fridge, I could put the overnight or the oats in a bowl. The metal bowl worked really well for that. The compostable ones don't so much. And then put some soy milk, and then put it in the cooler or in the fridge. I did pick up also a bag of granola so that in case I couldn't do the overnight oats, then I could just do that granola with a whole bunch of fruit. So I think I had just plain granola one time for breakfast during that whole time. There was just one moment where I was like, overnight oats is not possible, because I didn't have the right bowl and there was no refrigerator either. And I was very limited to like vessel that I had. You can also bring like a to-go cup, and that can work in a pinch to do overnight oats as well. And then I would just the next morning top them with a ton of different fruit, and then maybe some chopped up walnuts, and I was good to go. So that was my breakfast. I ate a lot of just beans on corn tortillas with some either raw red onion or some cooked red onion in a pan if I had a kitchen, and then a bunch of greens on top, and then just lime or lemon juice over the whole thing. That's a very easy thing to whip up. You can heat up the beans in a microwave, and you can heat up the tortillas in a microwave, and then the greens, no need to do anything with. Just pile on your plate, squeeze lime juice, and then be done. I did this cold as well. Like there were times when I did not have access to heat anything up, and I just took the tortillas, put cold beans on, put some like roasted red peppers from a jar, and then put lime juice on top, and totally worked. Really, really good, really tasty. The corn tortillas that I bought, I did not buy Ezekiel tortillas because those tend to be pretty hard, and unless you they require a little bit of like babysitting to get warm or to get soft and pliable. So I would just pick up 100% corn tortillas where I would go. And in fact, there were quite a few farmers markets that I went to that would have local organic corn tortillas. So I would always pick up some of those when I saw them. Going on trips is a great way to try the local products and the local produce, and farmers markets are a wonderful way to purchase stuff that's in season and that's super fresh, and it's really fun. It's in Hawaii, we don't have a ton of seasons. It's a little bit here and there. Like we definitely have a mango season that's in the summer, and we have kind of a citrus season, but we don't have like berry season, for example, or cherry season. And in Oregon in June, that there were a ton of different colored berries and cherries, and it was fantastic to get whatever was in season. So I encourage you on your road trip to look up, where are the farmers markets? Are there farmers markets where you're going? And go there before you go to any grocery stores and see what you can find. Let's see. Oh, fruit. Fruit is like the best car snack and the best car food, really. I mean, bananas, it's like the original fast food. You can just keep them in a seat, don't have to refrigerate them. They have a little biodegradable covering in the form of the peel. They fill you up. They have lots of nutrients. I mean, bananas are fantastic. Plums are great. Melon. I mean, I bought like a really delicious cantaloupe, cut it up, put it in a Ziploc bag, put that in the cooler. And just when I needed a snack, I would have these cold, bites of sweet, yummy melon. So good. So fruit, like go crazy with the fruit. It's a great time to eat fruit. It's so easy. It's like a natural complement to a road trip. Okay, so I don't eat a ton of bread because I try to stay away from gluten, and most gluten-free bread just really isn't good. I usually when I'm home, I make my own gluten-free bread. I make that buckwheat bread that's in the Clean Food Dirty Girl portal. It's my favorite, but I'm not going to be baking bread when I'm on a trip. No way. And so if there was like one health food store that had a loaf of vegan gluten-free sourdough, I was like, why not? It wasn't that great, but I did make some peanut butter and jelly sandwiches with it when I went for a couple hikes. I used it, and that was good. But if you eat bread and you like bread, you could do like a sprouted grain bread, and you could do all kinds of sandwiches, PB&J, almond butter and berries. Like you could go crazy with that, or like peanut butter and banana. That's a great one. And then you can also do the savory ones, just hummus, baked tofu, avocado and cucumber. Delicious. Those are really easy to pack and just to have in the car. So that's fun. I brought some little travel packets of almond butter with me, and that was handy. I didn't eat a lot of it, but I think I brought like 3 of those, and I ate those over the whole month I was gone, and that was great. So, sandwiches are a great option. If you don't like bread, if you aren't eating bread, if you can't have gluten, get some rice cakes. I like the thin rice cakes, and those are great. You can make savory ones, you can make sweet ones. And so again, the savory ones, some kind of nut or seed butter with fruit on top, they're really satisfying. And then the savory ones with like hummus and veggies are really good. They have a nice crunch to them. Yeah, fun and easy to eat. You kind of have to make those outside of the car, but I did eat that a few times while I was in the car after I made them, and it worked really well. The travel tamales, there's a company called, I think it's called Philo's. I think that's how you pronounce it. They make the best microwave beans and the best travel tamales. If you can find those at your grocery store, definitely pick up that specific brand. Is very good. And these tamales, you don't have to heat them up. You just literally open up the package and eat it. They're, awesome. And then their microwave beans are really, really good. They do have some oil in them, but they are really seasoned well. Super easy to put in the microwave along with the microwave rice. Make a bowl. Fantastic. So I like that brand. I bought some local sauerkraut and loved it. It was lemon, garlic, dill. That was really fun. I didn't buy cabbage because cabbage, it's kind of big, it's bulky, it requires a lot. And so I was going for really simple. And so the sauerkraut was a way for me to get in some cabbage and some good probiotics while I was on the go. So if you can find like a fun looking local sauerkraut, highly recommend it. And then just keep it in the cooler. Let's see what else. I found a lot of Oregon made chocolate, dark chocolate. That was fun. There's a lot of chocolate coming out of Oregon, a lot of very good chocolate. So bowls. So I made a lot of rice and bean bowls using the microwave rice, the microwave beans, or a can of beans that I stuck in the microwave, or sometimes just ate cold, a can of refried beans, just beans, rice, whatever veggies there were, and then plow. That's it. That was super easy, super nourishing, really happy with that. There was that company Daya who does the plant or the vegan cheeses. I typically don't buy their stuff because it's super processed and I don't tend to eat processed food, but I did find like a Daya cheesy sauce that you didn't have to, I could heat it up if you wanted to, but it was shelf stable. So you didn't have to refrigerate it unless you opened it. And so I bought a package of that and I put it on a bowl and I put it on some tacos with some beans, spinach, onion, bell pepper. And it was so salty. I'm used to our like cheesy sauces that are so good and have lots of flavor and don't just taste like a salt stick. And this one, like I wouldn't buy it again. I'll save you the time. Don't bother. It was kind of fun. I'm like, oh, it's like junk food, but honestly, my food was tastier without it. So lesson learned there. Let's see what else. Oh, having soy milk. Buy the type of soy milk that is shelf stable and just, buy a few of them, have them in your car. And then when you open one, put it in the cooler. That's great for the overnight oats. And it's also what I do with my tea in the morning. So I bring little tea bags of green tea and then I put like a little bit of sugar and then a splash of soy milk. And then I really like that. I love enjoying that morning cup of tea. So I did that on the road. The soy milk was great for that. There really were times where there was no way to heat up food. And so I really literally ate cold beans and raw veggies for a bowl. And it's amazing how that lime juice just kind of spruces everything up. Totally okay. I think I told this story in a love letter recently, but when my friend and this is my like childhood best friend who I went on the second portion of this trip with, when we were teenagers, there was one night we got to my house and it was late and we had been drinking and we were really hungry and we were tired. We didn't want to heat anything up. So we opened a can of beans. I think it was refried beans. And each one of us took a spoon and just started eating them. And they tasted so good to us. And we're like, man, cold beans are awesome. So it's been our little like inside joke ever since. So when we were on this portion of the road trip and this one place we were staying did not have a microwave, we're like, no problem, man. We got beans. We got cold beans. We're so good. And so that's what we did. Very easy to make. And, and we put some salsa on top. We did buy some salsa. And that helped the cold bean situation. And salsa on top of like the tacos would be really good. That's another packaged item that would be nice to bring along as well. So we really did load up the car with the cooler with a bunch of food. My friend had some camping chairs, so we could just pop those up and sit down in the parking lot or wherever we were to eat. Berries. Like if you do get berries, you're going to have to eat them pretty quickly. So I would stick with probably blueberries blueberries are more hardy than like a raspberry. Blackberries can be pretty hardy as well. But I did I just made sure that the berries were kind of big and like hardy looking. And then that was great just to snack on or to put in my oats in the morning or to put on like a rice cake with almond or peanut butter with berries on top. There's lots of ways to sneak those in and they're so healthy. So the dolmas are stuffed grape leaves and these are really, I had never had these. I typically don't eat these because they do have oil. And so it's not something that I would usually buy. And I actually did not buy them. My friend brought them with her and had them in her car. She's like, oh, I thought we could use these. And I was like, oh, good, like great idea. And they were. It was really good. So because you don't have to refrigerate them. They're just in the can. And then like you have to refrigerate whatever you don't eat once they're open. But I just took like a paper towel and blotted them and like pressed the outside of them to get rid of the excess oil. And then they were really good. It was a nice little change up from what I was normally eating. It was like a variation of basically tacos or bowls. And it was nice to have those dolmas to kind of give me another taste and another texture in my mouth. So that was super fun to have. And I like to pair that with some rice cakes with hummus and with cucumbers and onions and peppers. And that was a nice, like kind of Mediterranean feel and super fun to eat those. Let's see. Oh, baked tofu. Baked tofu. Seriously, a wonderful, wonderful food in general, but for road trips, very easy. Bringing a pair of scissors might not be a bad idea, or you could just open the package with a knife. But one thing that I would do is if I knew I was going to eat some of that baked tofu during the day while we were driving, I would open it before we left the motel and I would put it in one of those little containers that I brought with a lid. And I would even slice it into like sections or strips and then put it in the container so that when I needed a snack or when it was time to for lunch, I would just grab the container, open it up, and then already be like pre-cut and I didn't have to worry about the package. So you could you can spend a few minutes before you leave each morning or whenever you leave for your trip, wherever your next destination is, and just kind of do a little check. Like, okay, what am I going to have for lunch? What am I going to have for dinner? Do I need to stop and get anything? Just doing like a quick, don't take more than like 3 minutes doing this. Just take a quick check, see if there's anything you can prep to make it easier for you later on in the day. It's a good thing for like just convenience later. And carrots, cutting carrot sticks. That's another thing I would do before we would leave for the day or, leave for our next destination is just take carrots, chop them up into carrot sticks, put them in bags, and we would just have those ready to go. Great snack, great to put on the side with whatever lunch we were having. Super easy. And that is pretty much, that's it. I mean, with those items, I was able to eat for like a month and stick to pretty much a whole food plant-based diet, minus the dolmas, minus the little processed diet cheese, but most of what I was eating was just plants. It was just, rice, beans, veggies, and fruit. I mean, and some nuts and seeds and some oats, right? But that was pretty much it. And it was awesome. I felt really good the whole trip. I saved a ton of money by making my own food. I was able to go to a few good restaurants that I wanted to try, and that was fun. And then I knew like it was so nice not having to rely on restaurants. Like I enjoy going to a restaurant if I'm going to specifically have a social moment. So that's really fun to meet friends or to meet family at a restaurant and have it be about the conversation and have it be more of a social thing and kind of less about the food. Or if there's places where I really want to see, what these restaurants are offering. Like my partner and I went to a really cool restaurant in Portland called Astera, and the chef is doing some pretty cool things with plant-based ingredients, and they don't really talk much that they're plant-based or vegan, but they are. And they have a really wonderful like pairing menu, and you can choose like a wine list or a kind of fermented elixirs that were non-alcoholic. And that was really cool to see like what people are doing. And so I like to try different vegan places when I travel once in a while just to see, what people are making. And so I enjoy doing that. And I also loved that I didn't have to rely on restaurants, because if I would have, I wouldn't have, I would have spent way more money. I wouldn't have felt as good. I would have gained weight, and I would have, it would have taken more time too. Because sometimes really, there were big stretches that we were driving where there was like really nothing. And then if we wanted to, if we were relying on restaurants, we'd have to like plan it out and then get off the road and then find a place and then go in and order. Where if you can just pull into a rest stop and open the back of your car and, make a quick sandwich or put together some rice cakes and hummus and cucumbers and dolmas, like that's really a lot faster. And so it was a great thing. I really have to thank my mom for teaching me and showing me that this is possible, because when I was little, my parents loved road trips and we would go on road trips all the time, and we never ate at restaurants ever on those road trips. She always, brought the cooler, brought her big canvas bag that was like her road trip canvas bag with her knife and her cutting board and, basically all the things that I told you were helpful. I'm now, she was onto something. And so growing up, I never, I didn't see anything different. Like I thought that was really normal. And now in my adult life, I see that, yeah, that's the way to do it. It's a great way to do it. So I hope that this was helpful and it sparked some ideas and sparked some inspiration for you to try on your next road trip, whether that's for, a few weeks or just a day or a few days. You can take some of these ideas and incorporate them, whether you're traveling for fun or for work. All of this can definitely apply. So yeah, it was a great thing, and definitely check out that blog for more details and pictures and stuff like that if you want to know more. And this has been great. May your road trip be fueled with plants. Okay, bye for now. Did you know that Clean Food Dirty Girl has a club? We do. It's called the Clean Food Dirty Girl Meal Plan Club. And if you want to eat more plant-based meals that are delicious, that are damn good, that will have you craving them, if you want to feel energized and healthy from head to toe, if you want to save time in the kitchen each week, if you want to use all of the groceries that you actually buy, and if you want the omnivores in your life to say, yum, to the plant-based meals that you're cooking, you have got to join us. Go to cleanfooddyrtygirl.com, and on the homepage you can find out more. I would love to see you in the club. It is the best. Come find out what all the buzz is about. It is life-changing, and I would love to have you. Thank you for listening to this podcast and for being in our sphere. If you can rate and review this podcast wherever you listen to them, that would be badass. Thank you so much for spreading the dirty love.